Wow. And we're live.
We're live. Hi, Michelle. How are
Hey,
you?
Mel. Good. Thank you. Very good. All things
It,
considering.
right. It's nice to see you. But this is a crazy week. There's a lot going on, and we have a lot to talk about as a result.
It is a crazy week across the world. And yeah, we do have a lot to talk about. So let's talk.
Yeah, let's get to it. So let's start with, sort of some sad experiences, heartbreaking what we're seeing happening in Afghanistan. And I know that you have a resource that you wanted to share. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, and the resource is number one. I want to shout out to a young woman in Australia called Ashley Streeter Jones. So Ash is her handle on Instagram is activist dot Ash, and I'm going to put. In fact, I'm going to put her stuff in the comments shortly. Ash has been to all sorts of different environments. She's been invited to talk to all sorts of powerful people across the world as a young person and a young woman to talk about equality and equity and things like that. So I find her, she's an extraordinary young woman, and I find her thinking, she really challenges my thinking. So she posted something on Instagram this week about Afghanistan and how to help people in Afghanistan. And it struck me as being really poignant because she was amplifying the voice of an Afghan woman by essentially saying, if you're not an expert, if you're not an Afghan person, please pass the mic. Please amplify the voices of Afghan people who are experts, who do have lived experience. So, big shout out to Ash for calling that out and sharing this really terrific resource. As I said, I'm going to post it. In fact, I'm going to post it in the comments now, along with what else I want to talk about. And really, essentially a whole bunch of different strategies to say, look, let's pass the mic to Afghan people. If you're not an expert, don't make commentary or don't participate in commentary. Sure, you can express empathy and sympathy and things like that, which I do, but I would class myself as not an expert with a whole bunch of opinions which are not based on lived experience. So I just don't feel like I have any right to comment other than I'm extraordinarily sad. I think it terrifies me that what's going to happen for women and girls, because we know what has happened for women and girls under the rule of the Taliban and other oppressive regimes across the world. So that terrifies me, but I don't know what to do about it. But what I can do is take notice of those that do know what to do about it, and take notice and amplify their voices. So for me, my call to action is amplify Afghan people's voices and have them as the experts comment on what's best for them.
And she was the one who included in her thread also several organizations that you could support that are boots on the
Yes,
ground. Yep. Perfect.
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank
Because
you
there
for
are,
sharing.
one of the things about, that have learned a lot over the course of the last, sort of 10 years or so, is that I don't want to be a white savior. I don't want to be that white savior coming in to help the poor brown or black or oppressed people. That's not my role. My role is to help them amplify their own voices and have agency over themselves. So I think that's it. She's a very wise young person. So Ash, good on you. Thank you.
Excellent. And I think this segues nicely into amplifying professional voices. So we want to give space to people who have expertise that we don't have. And that's led to some work that we're putting together for a career that soars. Talk to us a little bit about what's coming up there.
Yeah, well, so there's a couple of things. Number one, I talked a few weeks back about Renata Bernardi, one of our experts in residence, not our resident in expert, as I said at the time. And Renata's got a really strong set of skills around job hunting, CVs, LinkedIn, things like that. But one of the other things that what we've been talking about a lot, and particularly with Susan, and I see it in the work that I do with women and organisations, is financial literacy. How do I know? How do I get past that? Oh God, I'm not good with numbers. Or oh my God, a balance sheet. What do I do with that? A P&L. And so we've been looking for how to go deeper on financial literacy. And what's been terrific is, again, the strength of our networks means that we've got and it's late breaking because I just had this conversation with her yesterday, a woman from my network called Kerry Harris, who is, she's a CFO, she's a qualified accountant, CPA. So Kerry's going to come in and do some work with us next month in a career that soars. Yeah, masterclass on the basics of the financials in a business. And then then we'll talk about what else we're going to do and how she's going to give women the opportunity to get on top of the basics, reduce that fear of numbers, and really learn how to run a business from the ground up.
Excellent. And so if you are a member of a career that soars, you'll see that come up automatically in the feed. But if you're interested in joining us inside a career that soars, Michelle, I saw your email the other day, and I think you set up a new URL. So where can people go easily to find a career that soars?
There's a whole bunch of different places. So there's acareerthatsoars.com. That's it, and that will take you straight through to where we hang out. And for our premium members, all of these masterclasses are part of your membership every year. So there's no more to pay.
Excellent. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about working moms. What do you have going on that front?
Well, you and I were talking about it. So yes, you, Amal, Susan, and I were having a conversation last week as one of our regular get-togethers as the hosts of A Career That Soars, and we were just kind of chewing the fat about the data that's coming out around the impact that the global pandemic has had on working women. And you're giving a talk pretty soon around a whole bunch of those things. And it got me thinking, and I started reading and researching, and I thought, I really want to give my clients and my followers some tips about how to, number one, pay attention to what's happening for working mums. Now, I am saying mums because we know that 77% of unpaid work is still done by women in the world, cooking, cleaning, caring. So I do acknowledge that there are working dads and parents who are impacted as well, but women have been disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. And look, there's a whole bunch of different stuff. So I've written about it, but I've given some tips which I have lifted and kind of repurposed into an audit style thing from an organisation called Marshall for Working Mums. Oh, God, have I got that right? I hope I have. Anyway, great organisation in the US who are writing manifestos for working mums. And look, it's a good audit piece. So for leaders, employers listening to us today, go and have a look. It's in the feed and see if you've got the 10 things that working mums really need their employers to give.
Yes, dear listener, you should be able to see that as the second link in the feed that Michelle posted. So it's there in the little chat stream. Excellent. Okay. So I want to add, I guess that we have a new podcast episode that will drop tomorrow, an interview with Peta Sitchef. And there's a couple things about that. So first, I want to say that is a recording from an event that we do regularly inside A Career That Soars. So once you become a member of A Career That Soars, you get to attend those events live when they happen and hear all of the other chat and Q&A that goes with it. But for the podcast, we just pull out the interview portion and I clean it up and we publish it. So Peta Sitchef, I mean, wow, she was just incredibly impressive and she had just a lot of wisdom to share. And I really appreciated you interviewing her, Michelle. So thank you.
Yeah. And Peter, you're right. She has a lot of wisdom, and it's a real from-to story about burnout and about a high-powered executive in the medical devices field. And it is a powerful story, but again, actionable insights. What do you do to get out of there? So, because that's what we're about, is saying, yeah, we can say that there's a problem, but what's the solution? And what are a couple of really quick steps that you can take to identify what it's going to take to get you out of there wherever you are?
Yep, absolutely. And then we have another career Q&A event coming up inside A Career That Soars. Tell us about that.
Yeah, in about 28 minutes, I will be interviewing Joe Thomas, who is the CEO of the Australian Institute of Business. Now, I've known Joe for a long time. We used to be colleagues, and we first met in 2005. And I've watched her move from a frontline leader in call centres to the CEO of an Australian organisation, in fact, an international organisation, because like a lot of other educational institutions, it has a lot of foreign students. So Jo is, and what I love about Jo is that I've always said she has extraordinary EQ as well as IQ. She's horrendously smart. She's just so good. And talking about numbers, really good with the numbers, but she's got this great ability to engage the greatness in others from a frontline agent right through to the boardroom, which of course is where she is now. So I'm looking forward to hearing about her secrets to success.
Excellent. So members of A Career That Soars, that's going to be live in just a little bit. So don't miss that. And what else, Michelle? What else do you have for us today?
Well, I'd like to hear about what you're doing, Mel, because you've got something exciting coming up.
Yeah, well, thank you. I suppose I do. So I am going to be giving a talk for a regional water organization that's stateside. So of course I sit in the States and Michelle sits in Australia. So my day job, I work in the water industry. I'm an engineer. But for this talk, I'm speaking about our work in A Career That Soars, the complete definition of leadership, the missing 33%, and talking a little bit about some of those things with the pandemic and how women have been impacted. So, the point of me doing that is really spread the word about, our definition of leadership, the missing 33%, and what leaders need to do to help create gender equity in their organizations. Like, where do they need to start when they're thinking about that? And of course, the missing 33%, business, strategic, and financial acumen is a really big piece of that. So if you, dear listener, are a member of the Rocky Mountain Water Environment Association, which of course is a regional part of WEF, then I hope I see you there.
Awesome. I very much encourage it. The other thing, Mel, we're going to do, or you're going to do something different as well in A Career That Soars next month. And I know we're at 12 minutes. So
oh my gosh, yeah.
But tell us about the discussions you're going to host.
Oh, yes. Okay. So there's a couple of discussions coming up. I'm going to lead some discussions on another wonderful book by a woman author named Liz Wiseman. Her book is called Multipliers: How the Best Leaders Make Everyone Smarter. So it's pretty thick, so we're going to split it into a couple of discussions. So if you're a premium member of A Career That Soars, this will be free to you. And if you're not a member of A Career That Soars yet, there will be another sign-up link where you can access this. So I'm really excited about this because Liz is great, and she actually has another book that's coming out later this year. So I wanted to take this chance to really promote her first book, and if it resonates with people, I hope they'll go and buy her next book.
Awesome. All right. Well, I have another book that's just arrived, because this is called Sex, Lies and Question Time. Because those of you who know me know I'm a bit of a political nerd. So this is one of the latest books from women or women who used to be in Parliament in Australia. So I'm looking forward to getting my teeth stuck into that, albeit I know I'm going to have rage. But
yeah.
Anyway, all fuel for doing more, right?
Right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We covered a lot today. And anybody watching, if you've got questions for us or you need to reach us, you can get to us through A Career That Soars. You can send us a message on LinkedIn. And of course, you can find the podcast at leadtosoar.com.
And there you go. There's the hyperlink going into the chat right now. So I should have done that before. All right. Thanks, folks, for everyone who's watching. And Mel, good to talk again.
Yeah. See you soon.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.